You know, I was initially pretty lukewarm about this game when I first heard about it. I was like, oh, that looks cool whenever I saw it at PAX or something, but I was never really excited for it, you know? Then I got to actually play it through the Xbox GamePass, and wow, this game is way better than it looks on the surface. I did not think the game could execute this concept so well, but it did, and it did it in a way that I feel only a video game can truly achieve. This is Carrion. Carrion is a reverse horror game, meaning you play as the big scary monster supposedly from space trying to kill everyone. You play as a blob of red eyes, mouths, and tentacles, and once it breaks out of a containment cell, it has one thing on its mind: consumption. The monster crawls and flings itself around the underground facility using its tentacles, and the visuals and sounds of it doing so are so incredibly good. Which means they're incredibly eerie to listen to. On top of that, the levels are structured in such a way that you really do get the vibe of playing a horror game from the monster's perspective. Watching the people walking around and waiting for the monster, not knowing it's in the vents, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike and wreak havoc. The sound and visuals are mostly generic aside from the monster, but they complement each other very well. My main complaint though is that the environments might be a bit too generic looking. After you complete a few levels, it can be easy to get lost since there's no map and the game really doesn't tell you about its level system, where the frontier is basically a hub to reach everything else. Combine that with the decently similar style to everything and it all starts to blur after a while. I would just recommend that the game have a map feature. You don't need some crazy lore to explain it, just have the creature remember where it's been or something. This is another game where the story is incredibly simple. There's a supposedly alien parasite creature that crashed on Earth. It was split apart and contained in a facility to study it, and now it's escaped. Nothing else there, really. I don't know what else to say regarding the story, honestly. I would critique it for being too basic, but really a game like this doesn't need a story to work. All I'll say is, the ending is wonderfully ominous. Anyway, we all get the idea. It's all about how the game executes this idea. On that note, the game executes that idea very, very well. The Carrion starts small and weak, having to pick armed people off one by one so as not to get killed in the middle of a firefight. But the more parts of itself it finds, the bigger it gets and the wider its array of powers becomes. Soon enough, the monster has powers to suit multiple playstyles, in fact. If you prefer the kind of horror monster that just runs around causing havoc and destruction wherever it goes, you can do that with the prehensile tentacles, spikes, armor, and a whole lot more. Or if you prefer your monster to be the more insidious type, like the Thing, you can keep hidden in the vents, using growls to distract guards to either pick them off one by one, or even using a parasite ability to take control and enact a chilling scene of one of the guards turning on their allies only to have the monster burst out from them the moment they seem to die. All in all, there's plenty of mechanics to add gameplay variety, but the game itself is short that it doesn't outlast its welcome. You have your fun, no use in repeating the same thing 5 times over, right? Carrion is exactly what an indie game should be. It has a cool idea, it does the idea well, and it finishes before things start to drag. At most, it's about a 5 to 6 hour game depending on how lost you get due to the level structure. But in general, it's pretty short, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who is interested in any kind of reverse horror or even just a different type of game in general. This has been TheRatMan, and I'll see you all later.